Welcome back to the Lands Between. When last we spoke, I told you of three powerful figures in the Golden Order's pantheon and their connections to ancient mythology and classical art. Today, I'd like to shift our focus to something less divine in substance but no less extravagant. The sights of the world itself in relation to the art that seems to have inspired their creation. Let us waste no more time and cross the fog again. Liurnia of the Lakes is home to the Carian royal family and the Academy of Rhea Lucaria, where sorcerers study and ponder the nature of their craft. Though the waters remain shallow, what little solid ground remains has been sinking into the mire and the mist over several centuries. Wanderer Above the Sea of Fog is an 1818 oil painting by Caspar David Friedrich, a German artist active in the 18th and 19th centuries. An unknown man stands at the edge of a cliff, looking out over the landscape of mountains and trees, shrouded in a boundless veil of fog. There are no roads to follow. There are no others to give him guidance. The horizon itself is beyond us, swallowed by the cloudy sky. There is only the imposing vastness of the world before him and, just barely in the distance, something that doesn't appear quite natural. What may prove to be a remnant of a civilization long past. As I stand with you upon this precipice just past the borders of Stormville, can you not see this painting come to life in the world of Miyazaki and Martin? The vast sea of fog rising to consume the trees and the mountains, the sun and the stars alike hidden from us by the cloudy sky, and there, in the distance, the once prestigious academy, a remnant of the old order out of reach, but not out of sight. Standing at a staggering 55 feet, the furnace golems of the Lands of Shadow are large enough to be walking milestones. Should you ever find yourself lost, simply look for one to get a general idea as to where the nearest road might be. These horrifying Goliaths were machines for the armies of the Golden Order in their genocidal war against the Hornsent. Trudging across the gravesite plains, they gathered the corpses of their enemies to fuel their fires and spur them onwards. Their origins are rooted in the illustrations of Britannia Antiqua Illustrata by Ayelet Sames, an English antiquary. One such illustration depicts a large wicker effigy, commonly known as a wicker man, filled with the human sacrifices of Celtic druids to be burned alive. Only look for yourself, and the comparison becomes clear. Though it is debatable as to whether or not the Celtic people truly sacrificed anyone in such a horrifying way, it seems that these stories may have also influenced the mythology of Elden. Before her ascension to godhood, Queen Marika the Eternal was a Numen, one of a druidic race who were massacred by the Hornsent. The furnace golems, fueled by the deaths of those who brought her people to ruin, are in fact instruments of cruel retribution. Did I say we were looking at the sights of the Lands Between? I was hardly lying, but I just couldn't help but sneak in a little bit of divine sight here. Kindly Mikola was a demigod Empyrean cursed with eternal childhood. In his time, he sought to break free of his curse by way of cocooning himself within the Hawig tree and emerging once he had matured. However, it was not to be. His cocoon was stolen away by his half-brother Mohg, the Lord of Blood, who hid it away for eons in the hopes that Mikola's rebirth would mark the beginning of his new dynasty, a dynasty of blood. Geopoliticus Child Watching the Birth of the New Man is a 1943 painting by Salvador Dali. a large egg-like shape adorned with golden visages of the world's continents splits and peels open, the long, gaunt arm of the man emerging from within as a manifestation of the North American landmass, the birth of a new man marking the rise of a new power's influence in the world, a new dynasty. The resemblance is almost uncanny, isn't it? Is a cocoon not an egg of a different hardness and consistency? Does Miquella's withered arm reaching through the cracks not bring the same imagery to mind? It may surprise you to know that they share a functional symbolism as well. Just as the new man and his emerging arm represented a whole continent and its rising influence across the world. The arm of Miquella is the gateway through which we access the lands of shadow for the first time, where the fate of the new order will be decided. As it was before, so it is now. This is not the end. There are no limits to the connections we can draw between Elden Ring and the renowned works of art that were created decades, if not centuries ago. And the more I look, the more I see. I will return to the lands between, but not yet. There's plenty to consider already. Thank you for joining me once again.